Tell me how you're feeling, man.
I'm a little tired, but everything is getting pretty well with the tour. So it's just the beginning, but it seems like we are going to have some fun.
This is the second day, right?
Second day, right?
And how long is the tour gonna go? Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
It's something like little bit more than 3 weeks actually. We are gonna finish in Czech Republic the 19th of May, and then we go back home, and then we come back to Italy. We have a couple of festivals. We play with Cannibal Corpse in a festival in summertime, and some other stuff in the north of Italy.
Wow, that's a schedule.
Yeah,
Definitely. But why aren't you on tour more?
You know, the problem with Sadist that we are a quite strange band. I know we are quite popular, but it seems like we are too strange for the average metal fan. So it's not very easy to put Sadist somewhere in touring, and it's much easier to be in a festival where you have many different kind of styles, but in a tour, and we're mostly a death metal band at the end. With usual death metal bands, we are like pop music, and with the average prog bands, we are like brutal death metal. So we're always the wrong band in the wrong position, always.
I have been listening to the Crust record back then for, I'm not gonna lie, man, it could be like 2,000 times that I've listened to this record. Like, and I'm not the only one. I mean, like everybody who I know who has a good taste of metal, who is actually educated, you know.
You know what's very funny about it? In some country like Italy and France, people hated Crust. The most famous album from the band is the second one, Tribe. It's maybe the most progressive in the first part of the Sadist career. But when Trevor entered the band, we felt like pushing on the aggressiveness and being a little more heavy compared to the first and the second album. And we all love Crust album. We are all very proud of that album, but it's a pity that some countries didn't recognize that album the way it deserves. I mean, tastes are tastes, you cannot discuss about tastes, but actually I think that Crust was extremely original, even if it was an extreme metal album. Something like a little bit Strapping Young Lad, maybe you can compare, but it's something unique because what's important for us in Sadist to try to be always original, do something different. I mean, there are so many good bands around that sounds pretty much all the same. That's okay for me. I mean, I love AC/DC. I don't expect from AC/DC that they are gonna make something different than the average. But about Sadist, we are those kind of people that really want to change album by album. That's the trademark from Sadist, and that's probably what stopped a little bit the career. When I was a kid and I started listening to heavy metal, it was because it was against the average. I mean, it was funny for me when I was a child that there was something wild, something out of the law, you know, out of the rules. But now it seems like metal music, it's so much into one kind of way of being. If you don't play like that, if you don't have this kind of production, this kind of sounds, all bands have the same snare sounds. Maybe it's globalization. It happens with the music. I mean, music, it's a language, you know, it's a face of the society. So society start to be globalized everywhere, and you go everywhere around, seems to be always in the same place with the same people, and music unfortunately is the same problem. So I don't know, Sadist, it's a very strange band, and a lot of metal kids don't understand what the hell we are doing actually. That's the problem with Sadist. That's why we don't tour so much, because we don't feel like touring too much, because we are not 20 years old anymore. That's the main problem. We all work with music, but not just like musicians. I run a recording studio. I work as a producer in Italy. Of course, not so much in metal music, because in Italy metal music is not very popular. And we all...
You do mostly pop?
Yes, I mostly do pop music. Yes, pop music. Of course, hip hop, because it's the trend. It's the music from the kids, so you have to to do it in a way. It's work, you know. But I'm lucky because I work with music. It's something I love. Of course, I love to be on stage with Sadist. But honestly, to make a living just playing in a death metal band, it's actually almost impossible, you know. So if you're not Slayer, and still for those kind of bands, it's not that easy actually. They have to say, hey guys, this is the last tour, to get people to come to the show, otherwise people
Oh
not
man,
coming so much.
now you're trashing Slayer, man.
No, I love Slayer. My second favorite band after AC/DC, it's Slayer. Really, I grew up listening to Slayer.
AC/DC is your favorite band, as a matter of fact.
In rock music, yes. Actually, we all love AC/DC. In Italy, we have a band that is called Dirty Bulls, and we play AC/DC. Only AC/DC. It's for fun, also for money, I'm sorry, but mostly for fun, and we love AC/DC. I mean, that's rock and roll. And also say this, even if we play some kind of progressive, tricky kind of metal, we have the rock and roll attitude, you know, on stage. We don't have the kind of prog attitude, like jazzy attitude. We have to be so perfect. We have to play very fast. We try to make good music, but actually we try to have the rock and roll attitude.
Listen, I mean, talking like, let's come to the Crust record,
Yeah.
where you have set a milestone, as I think. Like, this is one of these death metal records that actually exist, where you can really rightfully say it does not have any weaknesses at all, which is weird. there are a few records out there that are just perfect, flawless. Usually you do have a slip up of some kind, you know, like a riff that kind of is not fitting to that. You have managed to bring out a record that is essentially just perfect. And after that, you came to the Lego record.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I was confused.
Yes.
You know, what happened
we
there?
we were confused too, I guess.
Okay, you had a certain episode in your life. I
Yeah,
assume,
you
then.
know, that's the problem. It was the before internet era. If you knew how crust was popular in countries like Germany or in the east of Europe, the first time we went to Russia, we found out that Crust was the most famous album from Sadist, and all people in Russia and Belarus and in the east, they love Crust. And we didn't knew it because without internet, in late 90s, reviews in Italy and France, that was the most important countries where we were touring at the time, they didn't like it. We love Crust, and but we were a little disappointed because actually Sadist, I mean, it's a passion, but it's also like a sort of work for us. You know, we got to tour because somebody pay us. Otherwise, we stay home. We have jobs, we work, and we love our jobs because we still work with music, and that's pretty cool actually. So we don't need to go touring like new coming bands. They need it to get popular. Actually, it's the only way to get popular, to going tour by tour. But it's quite expensive. Nobody is investing on you.
Yeah.
When started, came out, we had labels, small labels, but they were investing in the band because at the time you were selling albums, so there were an income from the sellings, and the record company had money to invest in the band, like putting the band in a tour or something like. Nowadays it's everything on the band's shoulders, you know, so bands has to promote themselves, to pay themselves for touring, and hoping that tour after tour they get popular enough to grow up in a way. We don't do it, we don't need it. I mean, we will never be Slayer, we will never be Megadeth or whatever. We reached a sort of status that it's not bad for us. I mean, we can go to cool festivals, we get paid. Otherwise, we don't get paid, we stay home. Sometimes we make a new album if you feel like we have something good to say, and start going touring or maybe playing around with the new stuff. That's okay, it's not so bad actually.
Let's go the shift from the Crust record to Lego. You know,
Yeah.
like you still didn't really explain what happened back there, man.
Actually, we really tried. It was the time where we felt like, okay, that's the cross line. We work with the Sadist or we don't work with the Sadist, actually. You know, you reach a point, like in every job, when you are growing, but you know there's a step missing, and you don't know how to reach that step. It was late 90s, To be honest, we were listening to a lot of new metal stuff. We were listening to Rammstein. We were listening to Korn at the time, and since every album from the first one till Crust, if you compare Above the Light with Tribe and Tribe with Crust, it seems like there are three different bands.
Yes.
Actually. So Lego, it was just a different album from the same band that always wanted to change album by album, and that's the main problem with the Sadist. I mean, the very average fans didn't know how to react to the new album, so they were a little disappointed about the decision about the album. I honestly think that Lego is not the best album we ever made. It's not completely bad, but there was something not really good. I mean, Crust has not a perfect production, but such kind of album doesn't need a very good production. But we wanted to try something different, actually.
Right.
We wanted to try to be a little more easy listening. I know it sounds bad, you know, but you know what's crazy? After Sadist, a lot of death metal bands started to be much more easy listening.
Yes.
Compared to their beginnings. And what is easy listening? I mean, if Slipknot became popular and you play like Slipknot, you are pop. Pop means popular music. It doesn't mean only Anastasia or Shakira. It means that your music is for the masses. Even if it's heavy metal, even if it's death metal like Slipknot, it's for the masses. That means that it's pop music. Then you have the pop attitude. And when Slipknot became famous, death metal became popular. It's crazy, you know? That's actually what happened. So you cannot judge an album just because it sounds a little more easy compared to the previous one. To me, Crust is much more easy than Tribe. I mean, it's more straight. And it's very aggressive, it's very technical, but in a different way, because it's very straight songs. They start, they finish in one direction, one beat. The beat never change. In the past, we were always change the beat, and that was very bad on the stage. You know, you wanted to make something that was good to play live. And from Crust, going on after Crust, we started to making song thinking about the show, not thinking about the listener. I mean.
Okay.
We are a rock band, we have a rock attitude, we want to go on stage to play the songs, and of course, even if the song sounds okay on the album, but when you are on stage and you try to play them and you feel like the song is not good to be played live for a rock concert, it means that that song is not okay for a show. That's why we don't play so much stuff from the previous album, like the first and the second one, because from that album most of the composition were made just for the listeners, not for a rock show or a metal show. That was the problem. And with Lego, we pushed on this kind of side, trying to be more, trying to have a live attitude on the songs, to be a little more, maybe new metal in a way, but not because new metal was a trend, because we wanted to change. I mean, Crust. I think Crust is a very good album. We could not make Crust number 2.
No.
Like Slayer will never make. They tried to make Raining Blood number 2, and AC/DC they tried to make Back in Black number 2. You cannot.
Well, AC/DC is actually earning money since decades with actually one song.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I love each album. I love even the last one. I love it, but compare it with Back in Black, you cannot make such a great album, such a perfect album twice.
Yeah.
Like Slayer, they cannot. They tried to make Raining Blood number 2, but they failed, of course. You cannot. So it's better not to try. We never tried to do it, but it seems like we failed with the people, with the audience, you know. And they start to think, oh, say this, they are strange band. We don't know what to do with it. Something more important. The music was starting. Getting into a big crisis in terms of sellings.
You mean demonetization, where all of a
Yes.
sudden, like the physical copies and all of that
Yes.
stuff doesn't
We
have
never-
any meaning anymore, right?
We never talk about it, but if it's a business, if it's a work, it's like running a company, running
Yes.
a band. It's the same. If I have a company, I make pizzas, and I start to make a different kind of pizza because I think that's very interesting. But the people don't like it and they don't buy it, I have to step back and say, okay, somebody buy my pizza, so I have to do something different. Okay, this new pizza, it's better, but still it's not going so well. Okay, it's very romantic thinking that you make music just for fun, because we're not rich, we make music, we love it, but we try to get some money from our, because for us it's a job. And to be passionate in your job, it means that you do your best to do it in a very professional way, to make good music, but it doesn't mean that you don't care about the audience. When people say, I don't care about the audience, I don't care about what people say about music, they are lying. Yes. Everybody is fucking lying. That's not the truth. The truth is that you are passionate, you are professional, but you are a worker. It's a job.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not, you're not professional. It's just romantic. You failed to be a professional musician, and it's just romantic to say, I play what I want, I don't give a fuck. It's very easy, but it's a childish attitude. It's not from a man, it's from a kid, you know? When I was a kid, I was thinking like that, but I was 15 years old, I play my music, I don't care. Okay, but then I have to earn money, I have to make a living from music or whatever. So what I'm gonna do in my life? I'm gonna cook pizzas or I'm gonna make music? I decided to make music and make a living from music, so I became a sound engineer, I became a guitar player. That's all. It's the same with my second job. I mean, being a producer or a sound engineer, I often work with kind of music I don't like. I don't like hip hop, to be honest. But when I work with a hip hop artist, I do my best. Because I don't like it, I work much better. Because I feel like it's a responsibility to me to make a better job. Because it's not my music. I'm a rock guitar player, I love rock music. And it's very easy for me to work with rock musicians. But rock musicians are a little bit, they never listen. They are a little spoiled. And moreover, music, it's always changed through the years in a melting pot, different cultures, different kind of styles. And I mean, if it was not for blues, we would never have jazz, rock, and metal. But what is blues? Blues is the melting pot of African and Western civilizations. In a sad way, in a wild way, but actually, through that, what happened, such a dramatic situation made something great.
Yes.
Like blues. And thanks to blues, we have rock and roll. And that rock and roll, we have heavy metal. And now we have progressive metal or whatever. We don't know what we are going to have in 10 years. Otherwise, if it was not like that, music would just stopped, I don't know, maybe 200 years ago after Bach. Because more than Bach, what can you do? Nothing. Bach is perfect. After Bach, everything you do is just worst. Little by little you get worst compared to Bach. Bach is like alpha and omega in the music. Then of course you had Beatles, but actually in terms of what is perfect, what is art, you already had Bach 2 and more hundred years ago. So you better stop making music. The only solution was to mix. Okay, what's happening if I mix some African culture with the Western orchestra, and we had the swinging orchestras, the jazzy orchestra, Gillespie, and what happened after? And then we had rock and roll, and the rest is history. That's life.
After Lego, you split up for some time. That's something that occurs. It happens. You know,
it was the biggest mistake in our career. I mean, we made I don't say a bad album, but we made an unsuccessful album. Usually every band with a long story, once in a lifetime they make a bad album.
Yes.
It's normal. Every band.
Statistics.
It's statistic. But most of the bands, they keep on, they make soon after that a new album, better one. They make a step forward and start again. We made the wrongest decision ever, stopping the band for 5 years. And so little by little people forgot the band. I mean, it happens the same with bands like Cynic, for instance. But with Cynic, they just made a perfect album. I think Focus is perfect. You cannot do something better in this kind of experimental metal to me, and they could not do any better. When they came back after so many years, they made good music, good albums, but of course people were expecting Focus Number 2. That's the problem. Sadist always made different albums. We stopped for a while, and that was a problem because people started to forget about Sadist, but when we came back we made a very good album. I think Sadist, it was a very, very good album actually. We found the right balance between progressive, extreme music, all the influences we had, and we thought that it was the right formula, and we started to say, okay, let's work on that formula, and we started making albums on that kind of formula. To be honest, now we are a little tired. We feel like, okay, next album has to be something different. We don't know what, it has to be different. Maybe we are gonna make a bad album, but it has to be different, because actually, I mean, there are so many good bands around. They play a formula and they keep like that for years and years, and people are happy about it. Like me with AC/DC, it's a trademark for some bands, and it's okay like that. But Sadist trademark, it's an experimental band. We have nothing new to say. It's better to stop. So that's more or less what's going on in the next future. Nobody knows it, but actually the problem is that the music is in a big crisis. It's crystal clear.
Yeah, it's completely obvious. Also, you might know that because you're a professional yourself, that there is a certain dumbing down of musical intelligence, which is this is a serious thing. It is extremely dangerous for the development
of
music.
It's in the society, actually, not just the music.
So you know that when it comes to lyrics, when it comes to I don't want to say riffs, but like the structure of melody, it's getting now to almost infantile, childish level. I mean, we are at that point where a hook is the song.
It seems like people just want a fan and they don't want to listen
background
to music.
noise, maybe.
Yes.
Just, something nice.
I mean, to be fair, when I go to see Rammstein live, I saw them a couple of times. I love the shows. It's fun. It's a circus. I love it. I'm not gonna buy any more albums from Rammstein because it's not so interesting listening at home. Maybe driving, it's okay. It's that kind of music that it's just entertaining. It seems like people is only looking for entertaining music, not for progressive music, where progressive means something changing, something new, something experimental in every kind of style. It's not just in rock or metal music. I mean, it can be also in jazz or whatever. It's the same problem with blues. It's the same problem with jazz. I see happening with jazz music. I often work in jazz festival as a sound engineer, and all bands, all musicians, they are always playing standards very well. They are incredibly talented musicians. They play very well, but jazz now is actually like classical music. You have to play Mozart, Beethoven, and stuff like that. Otherwise, nobody cares. That's crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, one of the things that you can kind of obviously change is the whole platform of the music. I mean, when you are in a metal band, obviously you're going to use guitars, the bass, the vocalist, the drums, and all of that. And so the next logical step for you to be like completely different again would just be to kind of go electronic. A completely other direction.
I don't know. We experimented something with electronics on the Crust album.
Yes,
but,
it worked, by the way.
To be fair, it's not interesting for me. I mean, it's much more challenging working with acoustic instruments. For instance, on Hyena album, the previous album, we played a lot of acoustic instruments. We called some African percussionists. We wanted to have, since the album is inspired by Africa stylish stuff mixed with the extreme metal music, we wanted real African musicians playing on the album. Like we had African percussionists playing on the album, and I studied some typical instruments like oud from the Medium East of Asia, and tried to mix it on the album with the electric part, the rock part, and I think it worked pretty well. But this kind of crossover is too complicated, you know, for the average listener nowadays. it's not commercial actually.
Yes.
It's not gonna sell.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's not gonna sell. It's selling just for a few, but it doesn't make sense. It's impossible to work.
Yeah, you
like
can't fly in people, but this is why I was thinking about electronica, because essentially you got a laptop, you get maybe
Yeah.
a keyboard pad,
Yeah.
and you just perform.
It's too
whatever.
easy. You know what? It's too easy. And if it's too easy, it's not challenging. It's not interesting. That's That's my lifestyle. When I have to challenge myself, I want to do something difficult. If it's so easy and everybody can do it with a laptop, where is the fun? What's interesting now? Every day, every kid at home with a laptop is making good music electronically. It's better than me because I'm 40 years old, so it's not my music. I mean, I'm a rock guitar player. That's my background. I think every generation they have their own skills, their own styles, and so it's up to young people to make music that way, actually.
All right. So the MORBID Fest, this tour here
Yeah.
right now, it's like 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks more.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen after that? Are you gonna play festivals? Because you should.
Yes. You know what? We had an offering from the Flaming Arts to be in the festival. They make a good offering. They want Sadist, and they guaranteed to make a good condition for us to be in the festivals. And of course, we love Morbid Angel, and it was for us an honor to be on the stage with David Vince. And of course, we like Atrocity, we like Vital Remains. They're all good bands, and it's a very nice festival. A little old-fashioned festival, but
Yes.
it's quite nice because Sadist it's almost 30 years old band, so we are not newcomers. We are old school too, in a way. It was kind funny situation for us to be in such kind of touring festivals. I don't know how to call it.
Are you gonna play festivals this year?
We are gonna play a couple of festivals in Italy.
Only in Italy.
By now, yes, we're having offerings for the next year. It's a little crazy because we were expecting to make festival this summer, but we could not manage to be in some festival because of other schedulings.
Yes.
And we just can be part of festivals in Italy. We are gonna make a festival in the north, in Parma, with the Cannibal Corpse. We are making something different in the northeast. I don't know which bands are gonna be there. We had offering from the next year in the Czech Republic. We will see, but I guess this year is gonna be quite, calm here. We are not gonna make too many festivals. Maybe next year we're gonna make something more. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna start working on new material, on new songs. We will see.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you should. I mean, because first of all, the show is awesome. The music is just incredible. It's in a certain way, I think it's kind of the responsibility to bring that out to
Yeah.
people. You know,
Yeah.
like, because I know a lot of guys who have never seen you live,
I know.
and they want to, but they can't. So it kind of sucks, you know. So you have to kind of adjust then the expectations
You
of
know,
these
the
people.
world is getting smaller, and traveling is not so difficult. So
Yes.
Sadist is playing somewhere in 200 kilometers. Okay, let's. When I was a kid, I wanted to see a band. I was taking a train or something like that and going to see the band because they were not coming to my hometown. Now we are getting, lazy because there are so many concerts everywhere around. And if you are playing in a town, there's a town 100 kilometers far from there, and nobody is coming from that place because they know that you are going to play there one day. But maybe that day never come.
Yes.
That's the problem with people. People is getting lazy. I mean, I was waiting for Dead Can Dance to come to Italy. They don't play so often. I love Dead Can Dance. They're gonna come to Milan. And of course, I made the best possible to be there to see the band playing because I know they probably will never come to my hometown to play. So if I want to see Dead Can Dance playing live, I have to go there and see them. It's a sort of culture. I mean, life is getting too easy and people is getting lazy. That means that one day we will have nothing because we are so lazy we cannot fight for anything.
This is correct, yes.
I know it sounds a little new age. It sounds like I'm a philosopher, but actually that's the problem with society. We are getting lazy in everything. We don't want to make sacrifices. We don't want to walk for a while. Oh, I'm not going to the concert because, okay, that's YouTube. I'm gonna see the band on YouTube. But it's not the same. It's not the same. But people is losing something. Actually, you were talking about the golden age of music when people were making history. They didn't know they were making history, and the audience didn't know that they were part of the history, but they were doing it. Now we are missing the history because we are at home on Facebook and watching on YouTube. We are not gonna make the history, actually. We are letting life passing through. I know it sounds a little catastrophic, but it's what I feel.
Well, it is a little bit of a downer, that's for sure, you know,
maybe.
and here's a pro tip for you. If you want to see the band live, then do it immediately. Don't make this humongous mistake to wait until they just come to your town, to your specific location.
Appears when disappears like a
So, Tommy, thank you very much, man.
Thank you too.
And the links to the band are down below. You're just gonna scroll down, like all the stuff, subscribe to the channel, and we're gonna see you soon, probably.